Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final series, which is most likely going to be the best series we've seen in this particular show so far. Between Fnatic Raid Calls Alive, he is in the purple trunks playing Terran to the southwest of Cloud Kingdom, versus his opponent, Alive and Nestea. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the northeast.
Nestea, one of the best Zergs in the world, has been for a very, very long time, but has dropped off a little bit in performance, has been struggling a lot versus Terran recently. His form against Terran has dropped down a lot. Terran players are just getting so strong against Zerg once again recently, of course, with the shutdown of the Mutalist most recently, one of the changes, of course. But we'll see how this is going to be played out. Alive is once again, a relentless, aggressive player against Zerg. He is against every single race here. So we'll have to see how he's going to play this. Again, Mech could be a playing factor on Cloud Kingdom, but we're most likely going to see a more traditional style of the regular bio tank play out from here from Alive. But we'll see. Anything, of course, is possible.
Yes, it is. Quick drone scout here from Nestea, right at the start. Doesn't want to risk a damn thing. And can you blame him, honestly? Because, he is the start of the nonsense here from Alive, with a barracks just slightly out of position.
Yeah, the barracks here is exactly so we can pick the barracks up and make sure that there's no overload on that little cliff face just above his natural area here. So he'll probably build a couple of Marines, 2 Marines to be exact, and then pick it up and have a look. He is building the gas on a completely standard timing behind this, so we will be looking after this initial barracks lift up and so on, if he tries to do that, to go straight into the factory. And already Nestea, not seeing the barracks, or now just seeing it for the first time, is already moving his overload back, as you can see. He initially intended to go around the back or above the natural, but upon seeing this, is like, alright, I know exactly why that barracks is there. I know how and where to move my overload to actually get to the final destination here anyway.
Exactly. This is something that we see on Cloud Kingdom and also on Daybreak as well. These areas that can be exploited by Zerg players, and Terran players have learned, well, it's possible for me to deal with that by actually putting a barracks on the lower ground there. And it's not really a risky move unless, of course, something crazy like a 6-pool comes in.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a little bit risky. For example, if Nestea saved up or had like an early spawning pool, like 15, saved up and just built 6 links, because then your barracks is up in the air and you don't really have anything to defend against it, because 2 Marines, of course, can't beat 4 links. So we do see the factory and the barracks coming down. He had a quick poke with the barracks and then just didn't see anything, came back. This is very, very normal here. As the SCV enters the base, is going to see the gas here on a 17 supply time. It's absolutely completely standard here, and he will want to get that SCV out of there before the links come, so he can kind of back up, scout later on.
Ooh, that was a cancellation there from Nestea. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a mind game here. So we're going to see like a 4-queen opening here instead, and then really work on that creep spread, look for a pretty fast third base too, and just get the gas later on. So that's really surprising here.
Yeah, it really is. And he's going to be, well, I don't know. It looks like it's Reactor Hellion. Yeah, it absolutely is now, certainly, but it was a little bit out of sync, honestly, in terms of its build, but yes, that doesn't matter too much. And then the command center coming down behind this for Alive.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really change too much, really, from Alive. He's still going to build up to 4-6 Hellions, potentially more. But on this map, anyway, it's more of a defensive or more of a defending map for the Zerg player against Hellions. It's a very natural, small choke area that he can easily push back Hellions. So I don't think this really changes anything here from Alive. I mean, it changes, of course, from what Nestea did, but it's not going to really affect Alive at all. And he is just expanding behind this, of course. The barracks will be put down after checking again for that overload to see if it was up there, but actually it's in the far, far top left. And, of course, we'll be going for that stim almost immediately.
Yes. I'm intrigued, honestly, as to what Nestea's got. He does go for the 3 queens as opposed to 4. Just wants to make sure that his drone counts are a little bit higher, and that extra queen will give him what he needs to start pushing this creep out. And it's good that he's already got a tumor down, actually, before the Hellions arrive.
Yes, he does, and can already stop pushing them back. Even with the queens, can lift up the spine curl and push forward a little bit. And this is kind of a little bit annoying for Alive. He's trying to get that creep tumor. He really does need to, but it cancelled and brought back there by Nestea. Very smart. And I love the addition, because he's so focused on minerals, he actually throws down a macro hatch really early, and with these 3 queens, he's going to have so much lava to build drones, to build units, to do whatever he likes.
Yep, and the question is, what will those Hellions be able to do? Will they be able to deny the third base for long enough? Already takes just a little bit of a hit as he moves in too close to that spine crawler there, and everything counts, especially if he does end up trying to go for the surround. Nestea's link count is currently at 8. He's adding on 2 more. I like the fact that he's not overdoing the number of lings that he's building here. He knows what the timings are, and he's aware of the kind of time that he can actually push out and safely kill the Hellions.
And unfortunately for Nestea, he sent a Lingim to the natural of Alive to check if the command center was there, and it wasn't there. And that was really a misfortunate misread by Nestea, who thinks this is now aggression, who is building a lot of lings and double spine crawls, but actually the command center's there. And that's the unfortunate thing of not having the overload there early enough. And this is absolutely the complete opposite. There's a third command center, there's a factory with a tech lab for tanks that he can siege up on the higher ground, and Nestea not reading this game well, and now is suffering because his drone count has been stopped and halted to build units here, and he cancels actually the third spine crawler and immediately goes to lay it upon realizing his mistake.
Yeah, the Overlord moves in, sees this there, it's like, oh, well, never mind. And he doesn't even get a chance actually to use the lings either, because, of course, he cancelled that gas. His speed was so delayed. Getting us around those Hellions just wasn't really going to be an option for him. And now at least he can start to push towards his third base and try to recover from what he just did there. He's still got a solid worker lead.
Yeah, he does. I mean, it's currently at 49. That's the beauty, because he was actually stuck down at 36 drones as he was getting ready to defend this. And because he's got 3 hatcheries with 3 amounts of lava injects consistently going in, he's like, click, 15 more drones, and he's straight back up to where he should have been, and now does take an income lead in this game, but doesn't have the third base down yet, which is of course going to slow it down as the game goes on, as we do see Alive with his third base up, and also now starting his tank production to make sure that no matter what comes from Nestea, he's going to be able to sit back and defend it with tanks that are untouchable on higher positions.
Well, we'll see how many tanks he's able to get up at first before Nestea's aggression comes in. He's going to go with the double evolution chamber style of build, needless to say. So we do not expect Spire coming out from that at all. Most likely more of a Ling Infestor style. A single Marine scouts the timing of the third. Great information to be grabbed there by Alive. The question is, when do you think that he pushes towards that third base?
Sorry, is that Alive
Alive
or Nestea? Alive, he should be doing it almost immediately as soon as his second tank is kind of out. He can do it now, actually, but he does want 1 tank on the high ground here. So as soon as the second tank, that's when he should be going. We do have a squad of Marines on the left-hand side undetected here, along with Hellions, which could catch a nasty drone transfer if that was the case.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Alive pokes up just a little bit. Nestea doesn't seem to have spotted it yet. And Nestea also actually does know about the timing of the third base. Can't stop it from going down. It's unfortunate that isn't to the right there. He tries to savage that, but this engagement here is what might matter. But the surround comes in quite nicely there by Nestea, and those Hellions were really in the wrong spot. They should have been supporting the Marines, and they weren't, and now they've got rammed into a corner and annihilated.
Yeah, that's really, really nice there for Nestea. And now he's going to open up his drone production towards this third base. He has pathogen glands coming, and also the Spire coming down too, which is going to be a little bit awkward here if he does decide to switch over, because there's no no turrets or anything here, and we do have Alive now finally moving towards this base. Does have tanks on his natural. I'm surprised he hasn't put one on the high ground yet, because this third base could actually get under a lot of pressure here. The Ling count could easily surround and kill every single unit.
Yeah, I love that decision to go Spire. I mean, we were saying, he's not going to go Spire, this is Ling Infestor, but just throwing the Spire down as an option is great. It's difficult for Zerg at this stage because you're on a very limited amount of gas, and you don't want to be spending gas to build tech structures like that when you know you're not going to use them, but having that flexibility and being able to transfer and actually... Never mind, this is damage incorporated coming in from Nestea right on top of Alive. But that bunker's in a great spot and so many Marines there. So while he was able to do some damage, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, he did pick off 7 SCVs. And a bunch of units were killed there, as well as a tank. So that was a good trade there for Nestea, of course, and he has got the Hive coming down. So that Spire looks like it's just going to be for the greater Spire, of course, taking up to 3-base Hive here. And unfortunately for Alive, he hasn't really seen anything, hasn't scanned anything. He knows, of course, the Ling Infestor presence is somewhere on the map, but does not know about the Hive. He will start to scout out some kind of, or get some information via this drop he's sending to the top left here. He'll be able to see, is there a fourth base, yes or no, because usually it's going to be on the top left-hand side of this map, of course. And then if he does go all the way into the main base, he's of course going to get the clear identification of that the Hive is somewhere around.
Nestea's got such a ridiculous drone count. He's currently sitting on 82 drones, and that's the wonderful thing about getting a macro hatch so incredibly quickly. The Hive already up just before the 14-minute mark, and no awkward muters, as you pointed out. It will end up being Broodlords one way or the other, but Nestea's got what he needs to deal with pretty much any kind of aggression from Alive at the moment. Alive just has a hell of a lot of Marines and a few tanks, but of course Ling Infester will shut that down without a problem. There's a drop over here, takes a little bit of damage, isn't out just yet, but there are so many Infestors to back that up that hanging around seems like a bad idea, and hello! There is the fungal growth, and that is one dead drop.
And there was a drop on the natural at the same time there that forced a lot of loss in mining time as all the drones had to be pulled away before Lings did arrive. So, okay, form of harassment there by Alive, but not the best. Picking off an Overlord here and there, but there we do see the Greater Spire coming down. Ghost Academy as well, and we also do have the +3 Carapace also.
Yeah, upgrades-wise, things are looking very, very nice for Nestea here without question. The upgrade's a little bit behind here for Alive, to say the least. Neural Parasite coming up as well for Nestea. Once again, a kind of a curious choice. Not something that we see used all that often, but here comes Alive's rollout, and he's up against a hell of a lot of Lings and a very small count of Infestors.
Yeah, he has to go because of the Hive, but he's going to walk into so many units that I don't even think this is worth it. His upgrades are so far behind Nestea, and Nestea smells weakness, and he's going to try to just clamp and surround every single unit here. There is a drop on the natural at the same time, but 2 Spore Crawlers do kill the Medivac. Drones having to be pulled to kill the Marines, and that gives Alive some time to set up position on the 4th base of Nestea.
Yes, it does, and that makes things a little bit more awkward. Certainly there are 6 tanks, so that will help a lot, but with so many Lings, I'm not entirely convinced by this, and the push is just very, very slow here on the 4th, just sieging that down, and this big run by comes by in the meantime, and there's very little defending this, honestly. He can may be able to take the bunker out, and more units coming in there, and those Lings walk into a wall of bullets, but he is able to get into the mineral line and pick off just a few SCVs, but did lose his 4th in the process.
Let's be so careful. Now, tanks are sieging up on Nestea's 3rd, and he's just allowed too much time here for Alive to get into a good position. Marines are doing damage to the Queen and drone line also, but there is not a big amount of units here for Alive, and once Nestea's reinforcements join back, Alive's going to get squished.
Yes, he is. Broodlords are now up, and unfortunately for Alive, he has no answer to that yet. And there comes that big surround with adrenal glands as well. Lings tear their way through the army of Alive, absolutely destroy it, and a great and nice and efficient trade there for Nestea.
And the ghosts are now finally out. 6 ghosts in total are out. And from what I know, this was played on the previous patch here, so ghosts will be able to snipe the Infestors. I mean, the Broodlords, sorry.
Yep.
But at the same time, it hardly matters. Nestea's army is so strong. Even with ghosts on the previous patch, this is not going to work out well here for Alive, and especially because he's lost a lot of mining time on this base. Nestea needs to get this 4th base up. Even though his army is very small, if a perfect engagement comes down by Alive, Nestea doesn't have the resources to back this army up.
No, he does not, unfortunately, having lost the 4th and now being close to mined out on his natural as well. Ling Infester Broodlord coming in, well upgraded on all fronts here. Snipes going off, as you can see, pick off a couple of Broodlords, but there's still 8, and Lings and Infestors overrunning the base here. Quick stim runs right into a fungal growth, perfectly landed one after another here by Nestea as he rips through the remains of Alive's army, who is very much not alive at this point, I'm afraid. He dips below 100 supply. Nestea brutalizes the natural. There's still plenty of Broodlords up, and more reinforcements stream in from all sides, and I don't see Alive holding up against this kind of pressure.
No, Alive is in a world of trouble now. He's lost his natural. He can soon lose his 3rd base too, as Nestea, if he chooses, will come and close that down. But he's losing his main base production here, and unfortunately, it doesn't matter what patch this is, you are still beaten by Nestea here. And the Broodlords now sieging down into the main base upon losing this last squad of units. I feel that Alive's going to have to tap out, unfortunately, even though the wall is still up.
Yeah, the wall is not for much longer, I don't think, by the looks of it, with that much Broodlord artillery. There's still only 5 left there, but he can bring in some more. Certainly the infantry are finally ripped to shreds, and I tell you, man, there's the GG. That would have potentially been even uglier on the new patch.
Yeah, Nestea completely dominating this game, even though he was a bit of a disadvantage at the early game because he misread the situation, easily crawled back, and Alive was very slow with upgrades here. He was very slow with getting his third base up and running, and a couple of mistakes here from Alive, who once again shows us that he's not in the best form against Zerg, as he has had trouble against them recently, but yep. Nestea, nothing short of expected here, comes out and pushes down Alive, puts his head underwater, and takes game number 1.
Yep, Fnatic dead. Flat out dead. That was a really nice play there by Nestea, honestly. And if anyone has any doubts about the King of Zerg, then they need to shelve those right about now. But there is still the opportunity for Alive to come back in this. This is the best of 3. 1 game is taken by Nestea. Let's see if on Alive's chosen map he can turn the tables. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the chilliest map in the map pool. It is, of course, Belshire Beach Winter Edition, and this is Fnatic Raid Calls Alive, who is in the purple trunks, playing Terran to the east, versus his opponent. It is Alive and Nestea. He is in the red trunks, playing Zerg to the west.
And Nestea could look to seal a 2-0 victory here over Alive on Belshire Beach, which is very difficult for Terran players to play upon. The third base location on the bottom left-hand side is very difficult to defend, and 9 times out of 10 you really do see planetary fortresses being put there instead because of the Ling run-bys and the difficult pathway to get there from, of course, wherever your army is. Sometimes you do see Terran players go for aggression early on because of the distances between natural to natural. It's actually very short, and we see a lot of 2 Raxes and any form of early pressure. Yeah,
I was going to ask, since this is Alive's choice, it is a loser pick, so why do you think that he actually went for this, and could we expect to see aggression coming out from Alive?
I mean, definitely I feel that it's going to be a faster game. If it isn't a 2 Rax, which it doesn't look like it's going to be, it could be some form of 2 base push. 2 base 3 or 4 tank pushes is still actually pretty strong on this map, so I think he's going to get gas on a regular timing, not try to go for a 1 barracks expo, and we'll see from there, I guess.
Yep, Nestea going to get a quick drone scout here and start to nibble away at this SCV, but that shouldn't really be a problem. He has actually managed to delay the building of the barracks for a good 5 or 6 seconds, so that in itself is a bit of a victory there, but he doesn't want to lose the drone. He will pull back just a smidge, and there we go. Back inside the base you go, and safety for the SCV of Alive. That remains very much alive in this game, and we've also got the gas coming down at the standard kind of time here for him.
And Nestea just checking on the right-hand side with his drone, make sure there isn't a barracks or anything down, but we do see the gas. And unfortunately for Nestea, he didn't quite get in the main base, of course, so he doesn't know if gas is down or not. And maybe that will force him to send in an overlord to check. We do see an SCV scout going out on the right-hand side here too, and I believe that it will be Reactor Hellion, of course, but the follow-up will be, it'll be like 2 to 4 Hellions, I feel, unless he wants to go for a Hellion surge of units, but if not, and he will go for a tank push, we'll have to see how that does come down. We do see the SCV finally going into the natural area of Nestea. We'll see that this is pretty much as standard as can be, of course, hatchery, and then spawning pool just behind it.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll see in the next couple of minutes what ends up happening. There's not really a lot that will until these Hellions start to come up. Aside from that, it'll be pretty much straight up standard. Now, the way that Zerg play on this map, interesting, going for a bunker there. That's, of course, completely fake. There's really no backup to that. There's only a single Marine, and good damage done there to that SCV as well. So that was, I don't know, he wasted a little bit of mining time there, so I guess it's okay. But back to the point, how would Zerg play against a 2-base Terran on this map?
Well, he has to... Well, Ling Heavy is, of course, the best way against tank pushes. A defensive Bailing Nest is going to help against the majority of all Lins. But just heavy scouting is the best way, because you need to know what's coming, and then you can deal with anything. Nestea did have his Overlord on the right-hand side here of Alive's base. It did poke in and check the Vespian Geyser and saw, alright, cool, there's not a second gas been taken. Therefore, it's not Cloak Banshee, it's not any Blue Flame Hellion builds or anything along those lines. So he's quite happy with how this game is going. Despite seeing nothing, he knows that it is just going to be a pretty standard game so far. And Nestea looks like he's actually poking in to check that second gas once again, because that will actually entail a lot of information to Nestea.
Yep, and he now knows that there is no second gas taken, at least it's not taken there, and he also knows that a command center couldn't possibly be down this quickly, so he's not too concerned, and Nestea still with a reasonable amount of map control. He's going to give that up shortly to the Hellions, and actually there's only 2 Hellions come out from Alive here. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're not actually all going straight towards Nestea's base, and Nestea's going to be able to creep spread quite early here. He's looking around to check if there is any hidden stuff anywhere, you know, any lings. I don't know what he's really looking for, to be honest, with these Hellions. But at the same time, we do see a starport coming down here for Alive. So this could be you know, a couple of things here. It could be that he could drop and start to do a bit of harassment with a medivac, but I feel that if it's going to be for anything, it should be for that, so he can get into the main base, because that's actually an exploitation you can do against Zerg players, is that usually if they are going to use only lings, then of course Hellion and Marines are pretty damn good, especially with that medivac backup.
Yeah, that's very true, and it also is a case of when you get the drop in, you can position yourself so that lings have a bare minimum surface area to work with. If you get the Hellions at the back, for instance, they're going to be able to do tremendous damage one way or the other, and things tend to work out pretty well for you. Also, ling DPS early on against medivacs, not so great until you start to get the upgrades kicking in.
I just clicked. Alright, so it took me a while. I was a little bit slow there. But what Alive actually was doing with the Hellions, I know he went around the entire map, and I was thinking, what is he doing here? And what he was doing was looking for overlords, just to see, okay, where can my medivac go and get undetected? Make sure that there's nothing around the left-hand side, and if there is, where can I go? So this is very, very smart here from Alive. And one ling is actually, oh my god, that one ling there underneath Nestea's base is going to alert him.
Yes, it is. Will it give him... he's going to see that for miles. But will he be able to react quickly enough, more to the point? The lings aren't moving out just yet, so Alive's going to be able to deploy on the ground. But the thing is, he doesn't want to engage here, because he knows about the Hellions. So actually going up there would be terrible, because the Hellions were on the bottom ground there. Now is the time, when it comes in, that he'll look to do damage here. He doesn't have speed, though, so this is going to be awkward for Nestea to actually do. He does have 3 queens, but he's now taking a lot of damage, and manages to get that one out just in time there. But there's not enough lings to actually shut this drop down.
And if he gets in position behind the mineral line, that would be the best thing, but unfortunately lings are now popping and everything's getting chased down pretty damn fast here, and the medivac goes down. Excellent target fire by Nestea, and the drones get a good surround here also. Yeah,
a couple of good shots still coming off, so some damage done here, but yeah, he's going to try and shut this down. That was a nice shot. Will he be able to get any more coming in there? Finally the surround comes in, and we can count the cost of that engagement. 7 workers were killed in that drop, so what do you reckon that was actually worth it?
No, it really wasn't. He lost a lot there, and he delayed Stim as well. You have to think of the backlash of going for an early starport too, is that he delayed Stim, he delayed combat shield, so any form of push is never ever going to come out now from Alive if he wants to follow this up. He has to sit back in a very defensive stance now. He's only just getting a first tech lab on the factory also if he wants to go for an early defensive tank here. And Nestea can do anything he wants here. He can try to bust through if he feels his opponent is weak. He can very easily take a 3rd and potentially even a 4th expansion. So Alive is just setting himself back to not do the damage necessary with that early investment.
Well, Baneling Nest and Baneling Speed. Ooh, and Nestea, he's going to have all sorts of options here. Checks for the 3rd, there's nothing there whatsoever, and say, well, this seems like a perfect place to deposit a delicious green gift. 13, 14, 15, he's just going to go straight up bust this, and he should be able to do that.
Yeah, this is really good smart from Nestea, realizing that that investment delays everything. The Stim is not done. Combat shields will just be done, but Siege Tank and Siege Tech, neither are going to be ready for this. And we see it live extending towards a 3rd base as well on the top side of the map, and he is not going to be able to prepare for this.
No, it's huge. I mean, there's no barracks in this wall-off either. This is a very vulnerable wall-off to actually go in. And Alive's now seeing what's coming at him, and he must be thinking, oh, why? Why, oh, why? And oh, look at the timing there on the Baneling Speed coming out at just the right time. He evacuates the Marines. Really nice play there by Alive, but how is he going to save that drone line? The second wave comes in. It's genius play by Nestea to do that, to leave those Banelings at the back to catch the transfer. Oh, Alive just got ripped to shreds.
Oh dear God, he's lost 50 SCVs in this game. He's now down to mining with 7. Does have the planetary fortress, in that middle, but Oh, dear God. It looks like Alive now has just been, completely kicked out of this game by that really counter-aggression there. Even though these Marines are just enough to push these Lings back, the reinforcements are coming as Spire is down. And we actually have 1,000 gas banked up. Or he's just morphin bailing, so not quite. But he could very easily switch over to Mulus and just close the game out here if he wants to.
Oh, man. That was so clever by Nestea. It really was. The second wave of Banelings was fantastic. And... hello, you ain't going anywhere. He annihilates yet more units, 12 SCVs now, and he's about to lose that line as well. Hello, we've got friends for you. Alive is staying in the game, I'll give him credit for that, but I just don't see a way out of this for him. The difference is just absolutely ginormous.
Yeah, and there's the 12 Mutalisk tech switch over now. Of course, there's no turrets. There's hardly any Marines. There is a single tank, of course. This is going to push back these Lings and Banelings a little bit, but as soon as the Mutalisks enter the fray, unfortunately, Alive is going to have to tap out, and a beautifully executed little timing push there by Nestea, understanding, reading the game amazingly. What his opponent doesn't have, Nestea excels in.
Yeah, and Alive is now building SCVs 3 at a time, trying to get back into the game, but as you said, Mutas backed up with Ling and Baneling on the ground. It's pretty grim. Planetary Fortress doesn't do a damn thing against that, and I have to wonder if Alive will even try to stay in the game. He loses that mineral line as well. Having just rebuilt those damn things, he's back down to 9 SCVs. That is depressing, and Nestea's just having a field day with Alive, absolutely outclassing him here.
And there is a drop on the natural here, or just about to happen here for Alive, but does it matter? I really don't think so.
I don't think so. He could lose this entire drone line and he'd still be massively ahead in terms of his economy, so I don't know. There's another drop from Alive that has actually moved into a defensive position and saved the Planetary Fortress here. So, all credit to him. He's staying in the game, but there's the GG. As we say that. He knew that he'd been completely outplayed in that game, and Nestea played so well.
Yeah, one-sided Sunday here. I mean, complete 2-0s all around. Alive 2-0ing HasuObs, then Nerchio 2-0ing Leenock, and Nestea slapping down Alive there, showing him who is boss. Old school versus new school, of course, and not just in StarCraft 2, in old time as well. Nestea being a former Brood War pro, and then, of course, Alive being in nappies back then, but still... completely one-sided there, and Nestea also gets a stamp onto Group D here alongside Nerchio, both heading straight to the top of the group.
Yep, 1 series and no losses, not a single map dropped by Nerchio and Nestea, who will be facing off in this group as well, which I'm really looking forward to. If that isn't one of the best TvZs we've ever seen, then something has gone horribly wrong in this tournament. So here's hoping that it ends up being just that.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. And of course, this is only just day 1 of Group D. A lot more to come. And like we saw in Group C, Jack G begun day 1 with a 0-2 record. He begun, 0-1 record, sorry, losing against MMA, losing 0-2, but managed to come back to advance through his group. So it's still all to play for, despite HasuObs going 0-1 here, and of course, Alive 1-1. Still everything up in air to play for on our future shows.
That's very, very true. Everyone's got tough matches ahead of them, and Nestea and Nerchio have got themselves a nice start. So, ladies and gents, we will be seeing you on the next show. Please remember to check out IronSquid.tv for all of the VODs as well as the information that you would need about this tournament, as well as the Facebook and Twitter pages. There will be a rerun of this show at an American time slot a few hours after the EU. It'll also be rerun before the next show as well. So all sorts of chances to catch anything you've missed here on IronSquid.
Absolutely, and stay tuned, guys. This is only going to get better. And then after we finish with Group D, we're going to be going on to the playoffs, where we'll have 8 players facing up. And by God, that's going to be some high-caliber play for you guys to enjoy. Oh, yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Total Biscuit. And I've been Apollo.
Thank you very much to our sponsors, Twitch TV and Astro Gaming. You have been watching IronSquid, and we'll see you next time.